Let's get stuck into just another subject and go back, if you think, where we were up to in terms of the career. We haven't gone to Union yet, right? We're still at Wigan, 91. And this is 7 years before you play in a grand final, the first ever grand final, at Old Trafford.
It's got a great try.
Against Leeds.
Did all right, yeah.
Against Leeds. So there's more narrative to it, isn't there? Like one of the greatest grand final tries that we still talk about to this day.
Every time I played against Leeds, it was like I was always going to have a good game.
Yeah,
like that was my team.
That your team?
That was my team.
Who was your team, John? Salford.
Oh gosh, no, I didn't have any.
Toronto.
I'm still trying to find one.
Yeah.
So go on.
I just think of certain moments, like some of my best performances have been against Leeds.
I mean, that was an incredible day, because obviously it was a huge landmark in terms of rugby league, having a grand final in that sense. And I know, look, remember about 10 minutes ago, he was talking about being a 17-year-old when he arrived at Wigan and, didn't think he had much talent and so on. A year later, you were playing in a World Club Challenge, weren't you, against Brisbane in 92?
Was that
No, it was 94.
I thought it was 92.
No, I was 94.
Okay.
There was one
Still,
a
couple of years
later.
later.
There was one at Lang Park, wasn't there? Was there?
Yeah, well, the one I played in '94, that was out in Brisbane.
That was amazing.
But the point I'm getting to is the culture shock of, like, this is, you were clearly metal, and then you're playing in a game like that a couple of years down the line.
But it doesn't take you long to get up to speed, Will, does it? If you get into an environment, where it's a performance environment, it's baffles me how quick young people get up to speed, and especially if you're world class. Like you see world class people, like you say, like Jack Wellsby at St Helens now, young kid. He got into that dressing room, and you get up to speed quick in 12 months. 18 months. Are you up to speed? If you're not up to speed, then you're out.
And senior players give you time as well. If you're talented and you've got something in you, I think they give you more time. They'll give you an arm on the shoulder, or they'll try and show you the way, because they know that you'll help them on match day.
There's certain teams, and I feel sort of blessed that timing is always a big thing. But there's certain teams that like if you're in that team and you've got a talent, it just makes such a big difference, because you talk about Jack there, like I know being in the Wigan team when I did, I look back now and look at stuff and I think I was raw and I wasn't good at this and that and the other, but there was so much talent around me. It just allowed me to express myself in a way that, had I been at a bottom club, you just wouldn't have been able to do it the same. Because I knew, like, with the players that we had around, they would make that situation a lot easier because they think a lot different. They'd cover this up and that up. And sometimes you can just get the timing right where it just gives you a boost. And if you've got the talent as well, it just gives you a boost, and then you just catapulted into another realm.
It's compounding that effect.
It's unbelievable.
In these early mid-90s, and you told me nothing was on limits, so you can tell me to fuck off and shut up if you don't want to talk about this. But you were drinking 6 nights a week at some stages in your Wigan career.
Yeah.
You were on a Thursday going to 10p a pint drinks in Wakefield.
That was Monday night.
That was Monday, right? Like a Craig David song. It was going on throughout the week. Bearing in mind your early teens and so on, and you talk about being a product of your environment. This is what you grew up with the drinking. How heavy was the drinking? How much did it impact? Obviously not a lot, but how much did it impact performance? How much did it change your mindset? And how did others look at you at that stage? Did you see it as a problem at that stage? We're getting to a point where, and you've talked about this before, you considered suicide. It was obviously intense for you at that stage.
Yeah, I don't think people realise just how difficult it is coming into professional sport and the pressure day to day of that performance, like going in the changing room with the guys, my heroes, and, even being in the weights room. Like, it was all about who could lift the most weight. Sprint, who was the fastest. Like, there was competition every day. There was pressure on you to perform every day. If you sat in the wrong place in the changing rooms, like, your bag would be in the shower. Like, there was stuff on all the time. So mentally, it was tough. Within no time, you've gone from, again, cleaning metal to walking out of Wembley. Instead of going down on the bus with your teammates and everything else, all of a sudden now it's you walking out the Wembley. It's you that's got an England shirt on. It's you that's playing in a World Cup. And people don't realise, because like people come out with comments, well, it's professional, they get paid lots of money for it. It really grates me because I'm a council kid now, and I've been thrust into this world that is high performance, high pressure. Like you drop a ball and there's 80,000 people, 10 million people on TV. It doesn't just stop there. You know, when you doing the shopping and there's somebody like that, oh yeah, I dropped that ball, then it's like you can't get away from it, and it's just
Sounds like John's mum again.
but it's just little things all the time. The pressure that we have to cope with is immense. So for me to go from being a nobody walking around Leeds, so all of a sudden I'm in a rugby town. I can't walk anywhere without people knowing what I'm doing, blah, de blah, de blah. The pressure of being in that Wigan team. Like those that went by, you know, the Billy, you always told about the best players, the Billy Bostons, the history, everything else. Well, that weight falls on you. So all of a sudden you're in this environment now where you're young, you're quite impressionable, you haven't got the character. You know, it doesn't come overnight. It takes years and years to build that character. And if the boys said, right, we're going out tonight, I was going out. There's no debate in it. It's like,
so it wasn't, the drinking wasn't at that stage to numb any pain. It was just part of the culture at that stage. Because before it became, as you said,
it's what we were professional, but it's kind of what you did.
Yeah.
Like that. Well, we're going out on the Monday, but because for me, I'd moved away from my family, I was kind of on my own. So all of a sudden, you start this life out. At 17, I had my own house. Like, I had a mortgage on a house at 17.
If those walls could talk.
Oh, dear me. You know, so yeah. Thankfully, they can't.
going into the house.
But yes, all of a sudden you've got your name on the side of a car. Do you know what I mean? You're driving around. You got, you know, back in the day it was one of those. 1995. I signed a big contract to go to the ARL when all the Super Leagues. Like all these things are like huge decisions. I just didn't have the character to cope. So all of a sudden you just get sucked in by it. You know.
So you weren't unhappy. You weren't unhappy.
Tuesday, and some of it is like I'm lonely.
Yeah. Also,
you know,
there was a loneliness side to it. Yeah.
It's bizarre. How can you be surrounded by so many people that adore you
and be lonely?
But it's making head and there's so much stuff going on, but you don't. I didn't have at the time somebody around me that was saying, right, maybe just tone it down a bit, like behave yourself. Like, do you know what I mean? I needed a father figure. I needed somebody, you know, to slap me around the chops and just say, what on earth are you doing?
You met Wainga Tugamalo, who was huge for you, and unbelievably died at 52 recently, didn't he? And I know that's impacted you hugely. But before because he kind of was, from what I'm aware, was a bit of a saviour for you, and obviously, you know, showed you faith and took you into a different world in that sense. But will you talk about the incident? There was a moment where you had a butcher's knife in your hand, and like, you know, so because you already painted the picture there of life was amazing. It was so fast paced and everything was happening. And I got my car and my house and this and whatever, and the drinking was just a cultural thing to the loneliness and to contemplating suicide. Yeah,
but when you're brought up around the deprived areas, you're always told if you have money, like, you don't have the problems. So you kind of brought up with this lie that...
Do you feel guilty for feeling that way about having all these riches and having a house and a car, but do you feel guilty for being sad or lonely?
No, it's just like my upbringing, the environment told me, like, we wouldn't have these problems. I thought the problems were just because we didn't have any money. Do you know what I mean? This is why we're arguing now, because we've had to smash the back off the TV to get the 50p's out of it, to then go and buy the shopping, and then the rent man comes, you're all hiding behind the couch. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Part of me's then been told, like, actually, if we had a bit more money, then we wouldn't have this, and we wouldn't be arguing and fighting and everything else. But the reality is, with the success and the money just comes... the problems came tenfold. Because now I'm in a world where, you know, I didn't get lucky when I was in Leeds. All of a sudden now I'm driving a nice car, I've got a house. I became better looking overnight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's all these things. Who's around me for the right reasons? And you're left to navigate that on your own. People don't realise how hard that is. Some people are blessed because they've got a more steady family life. They've got certain people in their life that do give them a bit more direction in that. But I was learning as I went along. I felt like from birth to now, I've just been learning. Do you know what I mean? And getting loads of things wrong and trying to learn and get things right. And then all of a sudden, you get to this point where you think, in many ways, you live in the dream. You've got everything you want. You've got money, you've got cars, you've got a bit of fame, you're scoring tries. It's like, and then you just think, like, you sat in the house on your own and you just think, like, I just feel so lonely.
Yeah.
Because I've always been around my mum and the security of that, even though sometimes it was a bit turbulent, it was still like, that was my security. And now I'm just left to fend for myself, and everybody's looking from the outside thinking, oh, boy, I want what he's got. And the reality is, I'm thinking, I'm struggling here. It was only when Twiga Marla came, and I was, you know what it's like, the peer pressure in those groups is immense.
And back then would have been different. It's
so
different
many
level.
characters, so many guys that have been there, done it, and...
But am I right in saying he was the one that, and the reason your eyes sort of lit up when you saw him is that he didn't have the flashy cars. He wasn't interested in that. He wasn't interested in the going out and the shagging everyone. He wasn't interested in the drinking, and he kind of...
I don't know why I couldn't understand why I was happy.
Yeah.
Because for us, it was about, right, who tapped off last night, tell us the stories, and it'd be high fives all right. Do you know what I mean? Who drank the most, and blah, 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 blah. And it was all that, and it'd be just that cycle of, you just keep doing it and keep doing it. And that was life. And all of a sudden, somebody comes in, it's like, he's not drinking, and like he's got a faith, and like he's kind of nice family. He's content. Yeah, I'm chasing stuff all the time. You get your little Fiesta, and then you get a BMW. You want something else, and you just like there was no contentment in it, and it's you find yourself then just forever just chasing. And then all of a sudden I thought, something, I want what he's got. I don't want to keep chasing this all the time. And I didn't know anything about Christianity or faith at the time. And, it was just nice just sitting watching him.
Was it so obvious, when you first met him, that he was happy? You know what I mean? Was that like immediately obvious to you how happy he was? Or
it was just so obvious because he was the only one that didn't go out.
Right. He stood out.
I mean... he used to say, like, it's the dead fish that go with the flow.
Yeah.
And in many ways, it's right. It's like so many times we just go what is easy, and for me, just seeing him, it was just nice to see something else, something different.
So did faith become a stability in your life?
Well, massively, and partly because for me it was like. Again, I was chasing all these things, and again, I thought that was it now, I'm there. I'm at the pinnacle, I've got everything I could possibly want. Yet I felt so lonely, so it's not what I thought it was. Do you know what I mean? I thought, it's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it shouldn't, in many ways, it couldn't get any better. It
was disappointing when you got there.
Too right. Yeah. You get to the top of the mountain, and you think, right, and then you're like.
And also think about this, Jace, how high that mountain went, because we were only mid-90s. We're nowhere 95. We're nowhere near 2003.
It was 95. But then it's you can, and this is one of the key things, and I think this is where a lot of players struggle, and in many ways, I feel a bit lucky in certain areas, but I get the pressures and just having to keep performing, and do you know what I mean? Just get out there and keep hitting those levels, and then I don't know. It's almost like sometimes you can be two different people. There's what you are on the field, and then all of a sudden it's kind of what you are. You've got to put on a front. You've got to be a certain thing, and then when you're away from it and away from the bravado, everything, it's like. Actually, I don't like this.
That's a big issue in sport, what you've just described there. I believe
the emptiness once you got to the top.
Disassociation with self, with who you are. Like people speak to you as a sports person. People speak to you because you're a rugby player and because you're a fantastic rugby player, or they speak to you in a certain way. And in all of that, this is what I found, is I lost and lose the sense of myself, is who I am away from all of this sometimes. And that's where I felt lonely, is when in my best moments in my career, my lowest points were the day after my best moments in my career, where I just felt like at this point now, I'm not Rugby John. Like, nobody gets this part of me. Like, I felt lonely in that respect.
But people don't know you.
No,
and
they have no idea about me.
They see you walk across the line. They see, everything you do. They see the interviews.
Yeah. Well, Will's read a load of tweets about people who do not know me at all. No, they don't know me, do they? They don't. But people have an opinion on you. People think they know you, and people are invested in your career.
To be fair, I think people just write them now because they know I'm going to read them on the podcast.
Maybe. That might be right. But the loneliness in sport comes from when I just felt like disassociated from
Is that
my
because
sports personality.
you made the sports person, that side of your life, all consuming, and that's the kind of
I just think it's
overrides
what
other parts
people
of
are.
your
People are
personality.
dull and want to talk to you about that all the time. People never ask me questions about me, like what I was into. People didn't even take time. They didn't give a shit about what I was into.
Because they were excited about the rugby.
And the most exciting thing sometimes is what you do. And one thing I've come to now, I'm getting towards 40 years old, is I started to realise actually that's the least interesting thing sometimes about people is what they do. It's what they are, how they are, who they are, the way they think, like how you think about things, like how you see things. Like that's what I get excited about now. And I think it's through the lens of being where you're saying there, where I'm talking to people, but they don't really get me, and it's shallow, and it's like it leaves you feeling a bit empty. And then when you're on your own, then that's when it's tough.
It's magnified then, isn't it?
Like,
and then I'm sat there in my house, where it should have been the dream and everything else, nice new car outside, and then just thinking like, I don't want to go anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't cope with it because.
So sorry to be so crass, but how close did it come to that?
Well, listen, I was sat there with a knife set, to my wrist, just thinking like I can't go on anymore. And that is when I've just, I'd signed a £1 million deal with the ARL.
Yeah.
At 21. So I was, it should have been what?
Dream come true.
That is a therapist's wet dream, as in why that you felt like that, isn't it, at that stage? Incredible.
But the money is, it's not... right, I
don't mean the money. I just mean the success, everything that was there.
These things in life, right? So I imagine, like, if you're looking at a journey in sport, it's like, I think it's like being in a valley and you can see, like, a mountain range in the distance, right? And you set off walking, and if you've ever been on a walk and you think you've got to the top, right? You get to the top, and then you look, there's another valley and a bigger mountain, right? And then you think, right, okay, I'm on with this. I'll get bumped down, you go down, and then you go up again, and you get to the top of that one, and there's a bigger fucking one next. And, like, that's the reality of sport, isn't it? And once you master your local parochial peak, the fascinating thing about you is where you went from there, for me. Because it's such an easy journey down into the bottom of that valley again, and you go, whereas you didn't kick again, you kicked again and again. Like, you went up and down those valleys and just kept going. And that's what's remarkable about some people in sport, is when a lot of people drop out of sport when they get to that first rise, first peak, and they think they've reached somewhere. And there's this saying in sport that you've made it. And it's fucking nonsense, because you've never made it in sport. You never made it. You've got to be content with going down again and up again and down again and even further down to go back up. And it takes a mental fortitude that most people don't have. And that's why people are fascinated by sports people. And that's why people are fascinated about Jason Robinson. Because where you came from, to have the fortitude to go down and up and down and up and further up is astonishing.
And part of the thing is with the down and ups, it doesn't have to show itself on the field.
No.
Because I haven't got many downs on the field at all. A lot of mine were the challenges, like my biggest challenges were off the field.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And were they the darkest moments there, that period? For example, did the problems continue in later life?
Yeah, but listen, it doesn't matter who you are. If you drink too much, then the reality is something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And the more you do, I just got sucked into something because I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So there's no there's nobody in the club that, there's nobody that really put their arm around it. And that's why Inga played a big difference, because of him, it almost bought me some time to kind of step back and think, what's life all about?
Yeah.
Like, it's not what I thought. And that's why with the religion side of it, it's like, it's one of these, there must be more to life than what I'm doing now. Because I've just hit this peak and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And I never thought in the world, I never thought it'd ever happen. So now, what is there? So I thought there must be more to life than just going out and drinking. And so I thought, I had a simple thought about sort of religion, and it was a case of, look, if I, and it's not necessarily religion, but it was, there's all these debates. Is it real? Is it not real? And for me, everybody's got their own choice.
Yeah.
But for me, I just thought, something, if this is real, and I am right, bingo.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, and it gets to the end of my life, but I've lived a much better life. Yeah. I've been better people. I've been more respectful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's faith, isn't it? That's the word faith.
Well, of course, it's not by what we see.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, because I'm going to be a better person no matter what. So I don't get into big debates on religion of, well, whether you believe or not. I've been to some of the highest heights at an early time in my life, and I know there's more to life than what I went through. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I saw, sometimes we are so influenced by people, and Inga was one for me, and as a result of it, I went from drinking 6 nights a week and ready to potentially, or even having the thought of, look, taking your own life, to then not drinking at all, and then going on the rest of the journey of the rest of my career, not drinking.
Yeah.
And being more professional and sort of living a more disciplined life, and again, just being not being a tool, and being nicer to people. So,
is that the essence of religion? Just don't be a tool.
I
think you've condensed it very well.
That's a lesson for life, isn't it? Don't be a twat.
It's just sometimes people, I think, can just focus on, like, people, I don't know, see certain. I when I saw Inga, I was influenced by something that was real to me. It's just like, it was tangible. Like, there's somebody that is living it, has this faith. Whether you believe this, in God or not, we all believe in something. Even if it's that you think there's no God. Do you know what I mean? So for me, just I don't know. I try and keep it simple, because there's so many. People will sit with theologies and everything else, but I wanted to live a better life. I wanted to be a better person, and I know I have been. So I'm not bothered whether people think I'm right or wrong for doing it. It's worked for me. It's
But then how confused were you by the justice of life when someone like Inga was taken away at 52 with the kind of guy that he was and the life that he had, and given the word faith and so on?
But that's why we need to do what we can while we're here.
Yeah.
Nobody's guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
No.
I might not get home tonight. So
you might not if I have my way, and because I've still got another 15 topics to talk to you about.
Yeah, well, it's all right. We'll keep going.
And I know the producers are looking. We're going to go a little bit longer than we normally do. But look, this is just if we not quick fire, because it's mental to quick fire past 2003.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Mate, this is why we need. This is why we need to do probably another 15 podcasts with you. But let me take you to the moment where you've won the Harry Sunderland Trophy, 98. Yeah, you go to another grand final in 2000, lose that, and just days later, you joined Sale Sharks, which was I remember it vividly. That was a massive moment for both Union and for League. I mean, obviously seen people go across codes. Crazy. How did that? Why Sale? Why Rugby Union? And what was those weeks like for you?
It was pretty simple. I was coming out of contract. Wigan didn't renew my contract.
And then want to? Or?
It was in my last year. That year I was coming out of my contract, so I hadn't signed I hadn't been offered another contract.
That seems crazy that they wouldn't.
Rugby's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But everybody else thinks that's the case. And then all of a sudden I have this, don't forget in 96, Wigan played Bath.
You played for Bath, didn't you?
So
because they just turned pro.
4 months. And that was just so that we could get some players off the wage bill and, because of the Super League winter to summer.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I have this random call from Sir Clive Woodward and asking me whether I'd switch over to rugby union because this was in 2000.
The cycle between World Cups, yeah?
Because there was a World Cup coming up in 2003. And it was one of those, I knew that I was wanted at Wigan, but somebody else came in and it was like, I don't know, I felt kind of wanted and I felt like, it was a bit weird really, but I just thought, if not now, when, and, could I do it and the challenge? And I knew, without being big-headed, I knew that I could have stayed at Wigan, I could have played for Great Britain, I could have played for England till the cows come home.
Yeah.
That was my perception. I would have always been in and around it. But at that age, nearly 10 years into my career, I'd won 16, 18 major trophies with Wigan. And I'd done everything I probably could have done at club level.
No, nothing more to
not
prove.
At international level.
Yeah.
So it was a case of either go now or it's one of those, a go for the last couple of years of a contract just to get a full pension.
And as timeless as I like to keep these podcasts, it's actually really topical. And the fact that Eddie Jones recently has come out and said, I'd prefer my squad to have more of a blend of people who've had to work for something and haven't been through the public school system. Fucking Harrow school boys.
Do you go to Harrow, Will? You've never mentioned
you then enter a world, Jason, don't you, of public school and red trousered chino Twickenham goers.
Yeah. Salmon,
sorry. A very different world, a very, very, very different world, and a sport that you knew admittedly nothing about. So what was that transition at that time?
The reality is you need a mix.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whether it's sport or business, you need a mix.
Yeah.
You need a bit of rugged. You need somebody that's been there and studied and educated themselves. Because actually, I can learn from you. You can learn from me.
Yeah.
And that's how it all works around. The problem with rugby union is that it goes into the environments, the private schools, and it's good in that sense because there's a lot of talent that comes through, but it doesn't invest enough money. I mean,
you're an example, yeah.
I've had, listen, I feel privileged to have been played for England Rugby and been so good to me in lots of different ways. Some of the best experiences of my life. But then sometimes I'm thinking, hang on a minute, why have you never used me in schools? Like I'm that kid that now you should be trying to get. Do you know what I mean? The great thing about rugby union is it's got money. It's got money to invest. Yeah. But quite often it doesn't. This is why I'm saying at the top level, you need to know where to invest it and who to use to help bring that about. Because how would you... Again, I know that it's all well and good putting on these camps and doing everything. Like, it's all well and good to go into the private schools, brilliant. Everybody needs an opportunity. So I'd never say, like, do one more than the other. The reality is, there's a lot of people that get opportunity anyway. Opportunities there every day for a lot of kids. But a lot of kids that I know, it's not there.
Yeah.
And it might come round, if they're lucky, it'll come round once.
Yeah.
And that one time it comes round, they might not have the bus fare to get to the festival or what. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I get what Eddie Jones is saying. There's a big thing about it at the moment, but I mean it's obvious. It's really obvious.
A blend, a mix.
Yeah. It's all well and good saying it now, but it's been that obvious. It's ridiculous.
30 tries in 56 international matches. Clive Woodward, obviously, Sir Clive took you and had this plan for you. And saw what Billy Wiz could do in this team, and that's what you started doing in those build-up games at Twickenham to the World Cup. You go to Australia 2003. I remember watching it, whatever time it was here. I mean, it was just the most incredible moment for this country. But for you personally, all the pride, and you're thinking about your mum and all these things that's gone before, and the kid that was cleaning metal to that guy who scored in the final. Everyone forgets that because of Johnny Wilkinson did, but you scored in the final.
I don't know where, wasn't
it? Take us into that moment in Sydney, Jason, and just how much life changed for you in the space of 40
before
hours.
I go into that moment, because you've pulled out a huge one there, but one of the things that people forget is I didn't know much about the game at all. And this is why I look back now and I think all my upbringing, all those challenges, everything else, and rugby league got me into a place where I was so confident of what I could do. I then take on this new sport. And in my mind, I'm thinking, right, get your head down. You go into a new sport, it's not just a different sport, it's a different class. Yeah. So I'm dealing with stuff now that I've not dealt with before, right? And not only that, I'm high profile from rugby league. I'm now a target for every forward in rugby union. Because rugby, like a lot of people in rugby league say rugby union is soft. And they're the ones that have never been at the bottom of a ruck getting stampeded.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you now, rugby union is a tough game.
Yeah. Just get Peter Anglesey's size 14s coming over your chest.
But if you can imagine this, so I've come in, and there's been a lot of hoo-ha around me coming into it. And I wanted, I wanted to go to, I went to Sale because it was my local club. I didn't want to leave family and everything else. I wanted to stay in the north. That's why I went to Sale. So I've been with Wigan, top of the league, probably for almost 10 years. Now I'm going to Sale, bottom of the league. So I had quite a different challenge going there. So my mindset was, just get your head down, learn. But back of your mind, you're thinking, I'll back myself against anybody. So first game, November the 5th, 2000, we play against Coventry. There's 1,500 people there, and 1,200 people came because it was a free pint a pint, not to see me. So they came down, and a lot of those probably Wigan fans. If you then think about this rise, you're talking about, getting to the top. So I've played my first game against Coventry. In February, I'm playing for England. In June, I'm on a Lions tour. Now, I've played 35 games in rugby league, switched over, and then I play another 25 in rugby union. And the last 7 of those is on a Lions tour, and it was the most brutal thing I've ever,
That was Australia 01, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the training I've never been as battered in training. Yeah. I'm telling you now, it was.
Was that McGeechan 01?
Pardon?
Was it McGeechan 01? Yeah.
So I've just gone into this now, and I've just gone England. I had three starts off the bench, and then all of a sudden, 4 months later, boom, I'm then on a Lions tour. Didn't even know the players I was playing with.
Just call everybody mates.
Do you know what I mean? And is that famous? Yeah, just mate. I'm looking at the shorts because they've all got the names on them.
Passes the ball,
Ireland.
But this is the thing. I didn't even know all the England players, let alone all the others. Yeah. But then and it was one of those as well. And I think this is what I love about kind of what rugby league does for you, because it gives you a confidence that you probably wouldn't have if you hadn't played it. And for me then, it was one of those that people were saying, Robinson, new to the game, might get 10 minutes off the bench, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Got my opportunity, second game, scored 5 tries in one half. And then all of a sudden people are like, maybe he'll play a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? And I was top try scoring it. And the first test match, so all the thing with the Lions is, it's not just about being selected in the squad, it's about playing in the tests. And then there's one moment where first test at the Gabba, go there, just amazing thing. And within 2.5 minutes, boom, ball comes down the line. And I just see somebody in front of me, just go on the edge, score a try.
Skimmed him.
And it was one of those, looking back now, everybody's like, you've just skinned Latham and blah. I didn't know who it was, but that's what I did in rugby league every week. Do you know what I mean?
And didn't get the plaudits, as it were, yeah.
I'd look at some of the tries. I'm doing something at the moment where I'm getting some of the archive of some of the stuff because I know it's just going to get lost. Yeah. Because there's so much good stuff that I've done that is way above what a lot of people see me now because of social media and everything else. That's just not been seen. It's been lost. Yeah. So all of a sudden you do that, and that goes. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of the rise and the pressure of it and the performance of it, and playing 60 games in a season. But
you were, I'm just again from the outside, you were like a cheat code on a video game when you came to Union, and you were doing this all the time in league, but it was kind of just like someone had edited someone on Jon Wilkin Rugby, and he just ran past everyone.
But they were like, when you get the ball in rugby league, what first thing you do? Attack.
Yeah.
It's not like what do I do? Where do I kick it? Blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter who's with you or where you are on the field. Boom, I'm gone. And that was a difference for me, having those natural instincts of catch the ball, go, take people.
And was that encouraged when you went over? Because that's the key, isn't it?
One of the greatest things was, in my rugby league career, John Money said to me at an early day, because I was half-back, first game I played for Wigan, he put me on the wing. There was an injury to Dave Myers, really good player.
Yeah.
Got in there, he just said, go and play. Best advice ever, because then I was one of I probably made it harder for wingers nowadays, because I believe I was probably one of the first to scoot from dummy half, because I was in there. Martin Fowler was just a 100-metre runner, and he didn't like it because I
You're
got
a ball
in there.
carrier, weren't you?
Yeah,
Yardage
and
ball
just
carrier.
getting yards. And then you just, for me, then going into rugby union, everybody liked me because like this is new, like. This is like, what's going on? He's running, he's taking people on. But my thing was, I can actually run it back further than I can kick it. So why on earth would I kick it? Do you know what I mean? And I know my like, one of the things in rugby union is, you can always relieve pressure because you can kick a ball.
Yeah.
Where I earned my money was the last metre and a half. Because back there, like, doesn't matter what you're thinking back there. It's whether you've got the confidence to really take it to line. It's like a half-back.
Yeah.
The ones that really challenge are the ones that take it to line. You can do all your fancy moves 10 metres back. But the ones that have got the eye, got the skills, and that was me. Like, I didn't know, I had the belief that I was going to beat somebody, but I didn't know until I got within a metre and a half. Because I'm like, my senses are like, right, body movement, like where your hips, like how fast are you coming across? Where, do you know what I mean? Like, who is it? Is a foot? Like, I've got something going on but my feet were so quick, and I could turn on a sixpence and I could accelerate. So that was me. That's what I wanted to get people in all the time.
But that's why you were such a breath of fresh air to Union, because you just described that kicking game, which now infuriates me. It's become even more intense.
You've got to have the
it's
confidence.
Kick tennis.
But this is the thing.
And you didn't do that.
You've got to have I learned that sometimes I had to do it, but lots of people haven't got the confidence to do it, to take it to that. Because in rugby union, remember, it's different. You get caught and you're isolated.
Every chance.
Turnover.
Yeah.
You got to release the ball.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot
Especially
of people.
at fullback,
That's why there's so much kicking in rugby union, because they don't. You can take the pressure off yourself. I could get the ball every time, run up to the line, kick it up, challenge for it. But
and did Clive Woodward encourage that? You just said, Jason, you go and do
Clive
you.
Woodward and Brian Ashton. Brian Ashton was at Bath, and then with England as well. They loved it, because they knew I was different, and they were smart. That they made sure, they knew what I was going to do, and they knew the damage that I could do. So it was high risk, high reward. So it was one of those, like, the rest of my team knew I'm going to run.
The team was built around you and Johnny.
Listen, we had a team full of different talent.
Yeah.
But talent is made so much better when you've got certain people. Like, Johnny Wilkinson kicked the goal because everybody was getting their head kicked in, securing the ball to get to that position where he could drop, he could drop the goal. For me, I was allowed in so many different ways to be what I was, because I knew lots of other people that wouldn't have got the credit. They were looking after me. If I got caught, they were in to bail me out. So they'd secure the ball. So it gave me even more confidence then
to attack,
just to run it back.
To attack.
Because I get caught, I'm not going to get caught. But if I do, do you know what I mean? I've got a buffer.
Yeah.
And then, and they'd love it, because actually now we're playing in their half. Instead of me kicking the ball out and playing in our 40, I've run it back, beaten 4-5 people. We're 20 metres behind the gain line. We've got them on the back foot.
That's
and
the beauty of team sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
That where you just cover each other. Where you've got somebody who's got that much skill, and you think, right, sometimes your job is just to get them the ball in the right position, or just help them get the ball.
Yeah, we probably did it during our career, where you play with people like Alex Walmsley. I'd say to Alex at Saints, like, you carry the ball, I'll do your tackling because I can't carry like you. And there's a respect between you as a teammate, and it's probably not seen from the outside world, but I think it's quite special when you've got talented players and hard-working players all singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah,
and
especially when the we're talking about talented players, but like what we're talking about here, it's X Factor, isn't it? It was a different level at that time. I watched a lot of Rugby Union, and aware of the snobbery, initially and all of that, and we've seen it since subsequently with maybe Sam.
But he was a player that put bums on seats, and that was the thing. Obviously, Twickenham was always going to be full, but yeah, exactly. There was a buzz around Twickenham at that time because, like I said, the best way I could describe it was a cheat code. It was like you got the ball and you didn't know what was going to happen. He knew what was going to happen. We didn't, and he danced through people, and he was 5'2.5" at the time. He's still.
People used to say like, because people don't get it, like. When people talk about attacking, there's an art to it. A lot of people just think, oh, he's got good feet, you do it. Like, there is so much to it. I could take you through so many different steps of it, and it's not taught.
No.
How many times? I see it all the time. Like, players just think, oh, well, because he's got a good sidestep. It doesn't work like that. Just because you've got a good sidestep, you've got to know your craft.
There's a science to it.
Yeah. There's so much to it that people just do not get. And then so sometimes, like, people say, oh, well, he doesn't know where he's going. But the reality is, I don't know where I'm going because the picture is changing all the time.
So that's your ability to read it at that.
It's a game of cat and mouse. Jason was playing cat and mouse with people all the time. He's like, come here. Right, I'm going over there. Then I'm going to get you back over here.
Too right. Just like Barry McDermott or somebody else just wanted to like pick me out, just run over the top of me. You play to your strengths. But people think, oh well, he didn't know where he was going. But there's such an ignorant sort of like when I look into it properly, I'm thinking, no, because like the picture I'm seeing now is different to what I see now, and it's changing all the time. So I don't know if I'm going to take you on the left or the right because he's now. I'm reacting to him. So if he shoots, I'm putting things in and I'm probing. I'm thinking, right, one of them's going to jump because there's always somebody that wants to smash you. So there's certain movements that I'll make because I know it brings people out the line. It's like fishing, just like fly fishing. Just put it on there and you're like, oh, nibble. Do you know what I mean? And I'll just keep going across. And so I'm playing a game, but I know what I'm doing. But again, it's changing all the time. So, but I can react so much quicker than what the defender can. So there's so much more to it, and quite often like
it's like a matador with a little red curve.
Tease the ball.
But so many people don't understand that there's so much more to it than. Do you know what I mean?
With a lazy analysis of you as a player being he's quick and his steps. That's it. Is what you're saying? Is that would frustrate you as a player?
Then playing wing and fullback, completely different thing. People think, you're a winger, so you can play fullback. Not a chance. Not a chance. Don't work like that. No. But it's really interesting. And it's the same with like halfback and do you know what I mean? Like
it's the nuances and the intricacies that it's hard to sometimes describe and people don't always understand. But and it's the little bits that make the massive difference, isn't it?
And then when you've got players around you, like you're saying before, that actually, if I get into this position, I know he's going to hit that line. You know, I know if he hits that line, boom, there's going to be an offload. It's almost telepathic that and that's where sport. Do you know what I mean? You get me excited now. I think I might come out of the
Mate, honestly, we could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and we've already talked to you for nearly a couple of hours. I just want to do 5 more minutes with you about a couple of things. First, you just answer that question for me of how life-changing 03 was that night in Sydney, and you never looked back in certain degrees of your life from them.
It's for me. For me, it was all about taking on the best in the world. So it was. I never liked beating teams like 80-0 and stuff like that because it wasn't a challenge for me. I'd rather play a team that's better than me and just really have a proper challenge. You know what I mean? Because that's where I think you learn and get better, and it just brings out everything in you. And there's that strive and that fight, and you just got to keep working hard. I've got to be smart. I've got to. So there's no. You want to win all the big games, and I played in so many big games. But then when it comes to big games, for me, there's nothing bigger than a World Cup. And I'd lost in '95 against Australia in the final, and that was sort of a sore thing because when you play in those games, there's a winner, and then everybody else loses. Like that. That's it. And then to get the opportunity in a different sport over in Australia, like was just amazing. And going into a tournament as an English team, as favourites, never happens very often. But, you know, it was one of those. You'd go out to Australia, excuse me, they're always, you know, they're always giving you stick and trying to put you off, blah, blah, blah. But we just knew. We just felt this was our time. And we went through all the pool stages and it didn't always go our way, but we got to a final and it was just like, I can't tell you how big the game was. Like, you play at Wembley, you know, you play in Challenge Cups and Grand Finals and stuff, and they're massive games. And then all of a sudden, it made those games just feel like I was playing under 10s. Do you know what I mean? And no disrespect to them, but it was just huge. Like, the pressure was immense. It was like...
The world was watching games like that.
Oh, man. And, you know, with me, like, first 5-6 minutes... you know, they make a kick into the corner, Lotikiri jumps over me, scores a try, and that was a massive moment for me because I don't care who you are, when things go against you, you know, like, it doesn't matter how fast you are, how strong you are, if this goes, like, everything goes. And for me, like, because of experiences, I knew straight away, get this right, get yourself a touch on the ball, make a good run, tackle, whatever, just do something really quickly, and all of a sudden that was forgotten. Because the longer in between, like if you go 5 minutes without touching the ball or having anything to do, it can just dwell in your mind and you start overthinking stuff. So anyway, game goes on, and then there's that moment where, you know, I got opportunity to do Lawrence Delalio back inside to Johnny Wilkinson. Now you look back at it and think, right, he could have just given it to Ben Cohen on his right hand side. He'd gone straight under the post. But because I was in Johnny's eye line,
that pass,
he knew. Yeah, and the pass came. It was on the money. It was like, right, just little legs were like a million miles an hour. And just when I went over, and it was quite ironic really, because there was Wendell Sale and Darren Rogers, and I'd played against them in rugby league internationally over the years. So for it to be them as well, it was like, oh, I can't get caught here. And I slid in, and like the emotion of that. I mean, I punched that ball. If I'd have punched somebody, like just straight
head
murder,
off.
Head straight off. And it was the emotion and the pressure of like, because you know you're under pressure, but there's certain games where it's just like, this is beyond like little me here now. And then we went in at half time in front, and then the game goes into extra time, and then it's just those moments in big games where you look around and you see certain players and you just think, you know, you just know that this is our time. He's not going to let me down. I'm not going to let him down. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, we'll do it. You know what I mean? And it was one of those. It got right to the last 90 seconds, and you know, we end up, Johnny. If you ever been in a position where you need somebody to kick a goal, you know, Johnny Wilkins is your man. And
what's your immediate reaction to that when you see it just drop over?
It brings back. I remember so many. Whilst stuff like that is brought out because it's that's the icing. That's the candles, and do you know what I mean? The stuff that really. The stuff that really matters to me is the work we'd put in for those years, because that was just, it was a process of it all.
That's a culmination of hours and hours on the training.
The dedication, the sacrifice. And the wins become so good because you know that time spent away, family, like injuries, like coming back from injuries, like loss of form, back into form, like being dropped in teams and coming back and getting the opportunity then to do something amazing, and like you just know all the stuff that has come to this moment. And then when you celebrate, it goes so much deeper than a try scored or a drop goal. It's like, you know, something like you've just put so much in with so many people that's where these experiences never leave you. It's not because I scored a try. It's because I remember the time where we're training, it's 37 degrees and we're all spewing up. And do you know what I mean? I remember the times where it wasn't going right. And you know something, we had to find a way to win. And then over the time, it just comes together. And then those wins come, and you're like, this is history. This is your time. This can never be taken away. And this is something now I can look back on with so much fondness. You can't do it when you're in it, because within days, you've got to go to the next game. Yeah. But when you finish playing and you kind of hung up your boots and there's no more proving yourself, you look back to moments like that and just think, wow, was it really me? Did I get that opportunity? And then when you see your mates, when you see those guys that you've been there and you've done it with, you don't even have to say anything. It's like, it was that year, it was that time, we did it. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's that brotherhood. That's
amazing.
That's what's great about rugby and those bonds, which, you know, it's not just for a game, it's not just for a season. They're there for life.
Yeah, beautifully described, mate. And look, and you still went on to win the Premiership, or 3 years after, with a team that had come from playing against Coventry and were nothing. And look at the rise you had with Sale as well, and became quite rightly a legend at Sale Sharks, and went on to coach them. And that, I came into your life. That was a beautiful moment. 2005.
That was a big one.
It was a big one.
That's when he went back to Valley. It was a big one. I think he wanted a photo, and then he's not spoke to me since.
Listen, let's just finish. We can't not finish with Jamaica. And you talked about a World Cup there, and you played in a Rugby League World Cup with England and beaten by Australia, as you mentioned, in '95. But you know, you've got a big involvement with Jamaica and their rise and what they're going to bring, and this whole kind of cool runnings image, which is just such a lovely narrative, isn't it? Ahead of a World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people don't realise just how much involvement I've got in rugby league. Everybody just thinks because I've done my stuff and people see me as England rugby, but you know, I love rugby league just as much now as I did when I played, and I also feel now that I owe the game something to put back or help grow the game in some way. And you mentioned Jamaica there, but one of my key things is grassroots, and is promoting the games in schools and doing all that. And you know, I've been lucky enough to get a lot of opportunities. You know, I'm now the international ambassador for the Rugby League World Cup, which is fantastic because I understand it from a player's point of view, and also there's this now with Jamaican Rugby League, and I've got Jamaican heritage, and there's a lot of good things in rugby league, and there's a lot of struggles. And I look at Jamaican rugby league team, and there's no real funding in it. You've got to scrape for this, that, and the other. And just out of the blue, somebody came to me and said, "Look, any chance you can help us out?" So me and Alex Simmons said, "Yeah, we'll sort of help you out and try and do it." And it's hard because it's almost two different teams. There's a heritage team and there's an island team, but there's no money. Don't even have a stadium or a pitch out in Jamaica, so you're having to beg, steal and borrow to try and put things on. But it's the first time ever. You know, Jamaica is known for track and field and you know, just athletics. A lot of people in Jamaica don't even know that Jamaica have qualified for the Rugby World Cup. But this is what life's all about. It's about opportunities, about being the first, you know, and them inspiring other Jamaicans wherever around the world, and probably doing it proud. And I sit in it a different way, because I had a conversation like a couple of years ago now with the team, and it's a hard one to do because we got a lot of players that are playing at all different levels. Super League, you know, good Super League international players, and then you've got players Championship. You've got players that are part time, coming from doing a job or a night shift and coming to training. And one of the hardest things I think for them is understanding what's coming. I've played in 3 World Cup finals, so I know the situation from start to finish. And everybody wants to play in the big games. Yep. But there's a lot of people that are not prepared for them and don't understand what's coming. So one of the things I was trying to do initially is saying, look, this is an amazing opportunity, but if you're not prepared, this could be the worst time of your life. Because playing against New Zealand and not being prepared, there's a certain, for me, like as a player, there's a given. I don't care how much talent you got, you can be fit. Fitness is like, I don't care if it's lockdown or not, you can go out, you can run, you can do press ups, so there's a certain side to it that they have to deliver on. And if they don't, they're going to get found out. And it's going to be the worst place in the world to be. And that, getting stuff like that across, it's like saying to people, there's a tsunami coming. Do you know what I mean? And they see the tide go out, and they're like, nobody's got a clue. Do you know what I mean? But the flip side of that is there's so many opportunities to do something. It's a world stage. You know, you could do something that, I don't know, you could score an amazing try. It could get you the next contract. You could be a guy coming from Jamaica who nobody's ever seen. You know, first time you've ever been over to the UK, let alone playing in a World Cup. So there's so many great opportunities around the World Cup, and you know, I'm so keen because it's the men's, the women's get, you know, the platform they deserve, the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I'm massively excited about, you know, the World Cup. It's been put back a year, but I know the guys have been working so hard to try and deliver the best ever World Cup, and we're going to see the best players all over the world. And there's players like I've probably never seen before, but you know there's going to be names there that will, after the World Cup, you'll be like, wow, never seen before. Yeah. You know, or teams and just as players as well, challenging yourself. Because I remember in '95, all of a sudden I played South Africa for the first time, Fiji, and just playing against these teams, different styles. And I think as a player, it certainly helps. And you know, I can't wait for it to start because. You know, massively excited.
Promise you, last question I'm going to ask you, right? And I know a lot of people listening to this will be keen to know the answer to it. But with all of your experience that we've just touched on there as a player and everything that you've seen and all your wisdom and everything you've picked up on a pitch, but also off a pitch and in a boardroom and at executive level, would you ever one day take a job at Super League? I mean, there's a big job at Super League going with 3 letters after it, CEO. You know, to me, it seems like, I don't know if you agree, Jon, that this sport is crying out for a Jason Robinson. Is that something you would consider or say no to?
It sounds like Will's interviewing you here. You know what I mean? It's Will.
I can't give you the job, but
Harrow Educated is just offering you a job.
Yeah, it's. Listen, I have a passion for rugby league, and I honestly believe there's so much untapped potential. It's ridiculous. It's what we always say every time we talk about rugby league. You know, what do we say? Like, so one of the best games in the world, blah 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 blah, and it just doesn't get the credibility it deserves. And part of that is because, you know, there's lots. I don't want to, you know, put people down, but there's lots of good things that happen, good decisions that happen in rugby league. But there's a lot of same old. And if same people keep making the same decisions, you're going to get the same outcome. And sometimes you need to look outside that. And whoever's running the game, get somebody in outside, different vision, different thoughts, let's challenge. For me, the greatest environments, the most successful teams and businesses are those that bring outside things into challenge. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Sure. Like, it's just like sometimes you can be coaching as a player, and all of a sudden a good player comes that's in your position. All of a sudden it just kind of, do you know what I mean? It tests you and challenges you. It makes you better. Whereas I think that's what probably needs to happen. You need to get people in there. Just come at it from a different perspective.
People like you.
Potentially, it could be. There's so many other people outside that, you know, why not headhunt some of the best knowledge around marketing, you know? But we've got to also think different how we recruit. It can't be jobs for the boys. It can't be, right, well, most of the time that's what happens in sport or business. Normally, I hire Bill because Bill and I, we play golf together, and Bill never challenges me, so I'm all right with Bill.
Yeah.
And then it's just vanilla. Do you know what I mean? I don't want Bill. I want somebody else that's going to come in and just turn it upside down. Somebody like different, like just challenge, like
Jason Robinson.
Listen, there's certain roles that I'm sure lots of different people, you know, I could be one in certain roles. You know, what you've also got to understand is just, you know, there's certain roles that I wouldn't want. Do you know what I mean? There's certain roles I couldn't deliver in, but there's certain things that I could do. Do you know what I mean? In terms, I look back at the game, and you look at, and it's one of those, you probably sound like an old tool saying it, but rugby league back in the day when I played it, like you could name like every team. There was names. Do you know what I mean? There was household names. There was like there was something about them, and like people knew outside of the heartland. Do you know what I mean? You could reel names off. Now I don't think there's enough. Well, yes, we see them playing on Sky Sports and that, but I don't see them anywhere else. I don't see them on you look at, I've been asked to do so many TV programmes. Where's all the rugby league stars? Why are they not on all these programmes?
That's an injustice to them. That can be quite easily fixed, couldn't it?
No, but you're saying that, so why hasn't it happened then?
Marketing.
But this is what I'm saying. You know, we've got so many great talents, but they don't get the exposure that they deserve. And they're, you know, we can always look at the players and think, well, they've got to bring the game. No, we've got to put something in place that puts them where they need to be. You look at all the sports. You look at the Lionesses. You look at so many different sports that are put where they need to be, and certain marketing around it. Dear me, you never stop talking about it. No. But these, if you look, you know, if you're patient enough to look deep enough, you will find the stars in Super League. Yeah. But a lot of people haven't got that. We need to deliver it on a plate, so it's like that. Boom. Wormsley, boom. There you go. French.
Doesn't sound like a no to me, John.
Doesn't sound like a no.
Doesn't sound like
it's I'll go on Celebrity MasterChef. I will.
Have you applied?
I will.
Have you put your name in that?
I will. I mean, Jason, if you can help, I'll go on Celebrity MasterChef.
I imagine you've already kind of put feelers out.
I've been practicing my dishes.
But but there's a lot of stuff around.
Snazzy coffee with it.
There's a lot of stuff around the grassroots.
Yeah.
That needs to be better, because that's the feeder.
I think you look thirsty to get involved at some stage. That's how I'm reading.
No, but I am involved. That's the thing.
More involved.
But
more involved. In the right places.
Yeah, but then that takes up time, and you know something. I'm in a really nice place now, where the people that I work for appreciate what I do, and like everybody else, your time is valuable. And I said stuff about the RFU. I only work with people that want to change, and bring about the best. Like, I haven't got all the answers. I haven't got all the answers. I might have a couple, but I haven't got all the answers. But there's only one way to find them. Do you know what I mean? And it's not in the same room we keep going to. So I mean, hopefully with the IMG, there is something different. There is a better platform, and the guys, you know, I don't want to. One of the great things for me in my career is that I played rugby union, and not only because it was a good game, but I know now I've got jobs for life. And this is my thing around players that leave rugby league. I was in rugby union. I did well around Six Nations. I did well around Lions tours. I did well around World Cups. So every year there's always stuff that goes on that I'll be asked to do. There's jobs and with companies, blah de blah de blah. I know some of the best talent in this country are rugby league players, and I know that they do not get the work. It's a different level. I get asked to do stuff in rugby league, and a lot of the time, whilst I do a lot of stuff for nothing in rugby league and everything else, a lot of stuff I wouldn't entertain it because it's not worth doing. No. Do you know what I mean? Whereas these players should be, for me, paid a lot more, you know, because of what they're doing. We watch it. You watch it every week, and they're running, just smashing each other. The bodies are in bits, and they're delivering like every week. They're doing something, even when they don't play their best. It's hard yakka. It's
brutal, yeah.
It's hard yakka. And I just don't think that they're getting the recognition and rewarded in the way that they are. And that's why people say to me, you went to rugby union for the money. No, I didn't. I was paid less when I went to rugby union than I was in rugby league. I got paid more in rugby league. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I know that there's an untapped corporate world in rugby league, and if we tap into that and get the better sponsor involved and tap into the proper money. So no disrespect, like I love the fact that somebody goes out and works 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and he brings his money home, and he's that invested in the clubs that he spends it on a season ticket, and it costs X amount of money, and that's his treat for that week. But the real difference is when that company who is just paying for it through the company, buys a table or does the spot. That's where the money needs to come from. Not. Do you know what I mean?
Fans, it's corporate.
You know, there's always going to be a diehard. There's always going to be a diehard fans, and sometimes you see people there, and you know, like they've got nothing, but that's their life. So, and then you just think, right, you know, get the corporates involved. That's what they want to do. They want to entertain clients. Well, there's no better place. Get them down on a Friday night, a Saturday night, but make it so that they want to come. Do you know what I mean? Give them some real value. You know, it's not about a pint. Do you know what I mean? It's proper corporate. It's. So anyway, I'm getting into something now. I'm just like.
Oh, so one question. What an interview that was for the job. Jason Robinson,
no, I don't want the
thank
job.
you so much. What a brilliant guest you've been. And look, that was over 2 hours, but a fascinating listen for everyone. Really appreciate it, mate. Thank you so much for coming down and speak to us.
I think we could have done another 2 or 3 hours. I don't know if
we could have done. And we will do. He says we will do. He hates doing these, but it's taken me 2 years to get him in here. But I'm so glad we finally did. Thank you, mate.
No, I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Top man. Give us a little follow. I know you're going to enjoy that at Out of Your RL on social media, and give us a review as well on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Enjoy that episode. Thank you very much.